There we go. All right. Clap it up, clap it up. It's Monday night is history class, you know. And, excuse me, let me start like this, Salakia. With the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. We've been bringing this truth since 1969, and what is that truth? That truth is that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and natives are the true biblical Jews of the Bible, and the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Now, I'm good, sir. Check this out, right? Tonight's class is going to be from the Emancipation to the Civil Rights era. You understand? And the reason why we're going to delve into this because this deals with a lot of our history coming through slavery, after slavery, coming through, let's see, what did we just say? We just said the Emancipation into the Black Codes, into the Jim Crow era, into the Civil Rights era. A lot of things happened in this time period, you understand? And a lot of us don't actually know what it is to be emancipated, you understand? Emancipation is a very important word, you understand? Emancipation means freeing someone from the control of another, you understand? And we have to look at our situation today. Again, it says freeing someone from the control of another, especially a parent's relinquishing authority and control over a minor child. Type of freeing, liberation, release, the act of liberating someone or something. And there's something very important in there. You understand? But before we get back to that, let's go to that word emancipation. What does it mean to be emancipated? You understand? What does it mean to be emancipated? A lot of us think that Abraham Lincoln emancipated us. You know, we were freed by Abraham Lincoln. You understand? And we're going to get into Abraham Lincoln too. But emancipated only means, and listen to what I'm saying, you understand? It only means to be taken from being private property and becoming the property of the state. Right. You understand? And a lot of people don't understand, a lot of people don't hear. Our oppressor uses words to make us feel comfortable and to get relaxed in the arms of oppression. Right. You understand? To be emancipated only means to be taken from being private property and now you're awarded to the state. A child can be emancipated from his parents. So if emancipation means to be taken from being private property to state property, if a child is emancipated from his parents, what does that mean? What does that mean, being emancipated from your parents? Well, understand this. If you're emancipated from your parents, you're taken from the authority of your parents and now you become state property. Remember the movie State Property, right? That's a heavy word, state property. That means that your 14 to 17-year-old child now can be convicted as an adult because they have been emancipated from you and now they become the property of the state. That's what it means to become the property of the state. So when Abraham Lincoln emancipated the slaves, listen, let's do this. Let's get that letter that Abraham Lincoln wrote. You got that, sir? Okay, pull that up. Cap Sapari about to pull up the letter that Abraham Lincoln wrote, and he wrote this letter, Abraham Lincoln wrote this letter to Horace Greeley. Horace Greeley was the founder and editor of the New York Tribune and member of the U.S. House of Representatives from the New York's 6th District of the Republican Party. You understand? He was a U.S. House of Representative from New York's 6th District of the Republican Party. Now remember, Horace Greeley was from the North. You understand? Abraham Lincoln basically was from the South. But understand this, right? The battle was not to free the slaves. That's Horace Greeley right there. Can the people see that? Listen, that's Horace Greeley right there. This is a person who was believed to be against slavery. But understand something. To be against slavery in the pre-Emancipation era was illegal. It wasn't that he was against slavery, he was against the South and the economics of the South overpowering the economics of the North. It had nothing about dealing or being freeing the slaves. This is what we mean, emancipation. The Emancipation Proclamation had nothing to do with freeing slaves. We got that letter, sir? Can we read that?
From the Executive Mansion, Washington, August 22nd, 1862. How you pronounce that?
Horace
Greeley, dear sir, I've just read yours of the 19th, addressed to myself through the New York Tribune. If there be in any statements or assumptions of fact which I may know to be, how you know,
pejorative.
P-R-R-O-N.
P-R.
We'll get to that slot.
Yeah.
I do not now and here controvert them. If there be any slot, if there be in any instances which I may believe to be falsely drawn, I do not know and here argue against them. If there be perceptible in it in patient and dictatorial tone, I waive it in deference to an old friend whose heart I am always supposed to be right.
Hey, can you skip down to that part where it's talking about the whether I could free the slaves?
Okay, here we go. If there be those who would not save the Union unless they could at the same time destroy slavery, I do not agree with them. Can we read that again?
Go ahead.
I do not agree with them. If there be those who would not save the Union unless they could at the same time destroy slavery, I do not agree with them.
Right.
My paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union.
Say that again.
My paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union.
Listen, Abraham Lincoln said his paramount objective was to save the Union. It had nothing to do with freeing the slaves. He could care whether the slaves were free or not. You understand? It wasn't about freeing the slaves. It was about keeping the Union together. America destroys nations just like that, breaking nations and nations, breaking nations in half. That's how you got a North and a South Korea. That's how you had that war in Vietnam. You understand? That's how you got Sudan. What is that? They got North Sudan and the Sudan Republic, the Republic of Sudan, because America breaks countries apart. America didn't want to be broken apart. They didn't want to become two countries. And the people in the South wanted to be a separate country from the North. It would have been North America and South America, literally. Literally.
That's why Texas is acting like that.
That's why, exactly. And that's why Texas still today wants to break off and be their own entity, meaning their own country. Texas believes that they can be a country in themselves. You understand? That's why they have open carry laws down there, and the things that happen down in Texas happens the way they do, because Texas believes in policing themselves. That's something that we, as so-called blacks, Hispanics, and natives in America should believe in too. We should believe in policing ourselves. When you let your oppressor police you, you stay in captivity. You understand? We are the only people on this earth that believe we can't police ourselves. Now, you can drop that cap because I want to get to this book right here. Oh, go ahead, read. Go ahead, read the rest.
In the struggle with, my paramount object in the struggle is to save the Union. And it is not either to save or to destroy slavery.
It is not to save or destroy slavery. They could care less about slavery. Listen, slavery benefited America, period. Having us enslaved benefited them, period. You understand? And this is the reason why that 13th Amendment was created. A lot of people don't understand. We're going to get into the 13th Amendment, but what I want to do is I want to back up just a little bit, okay? You got more on that, Cap? Was that it? Go ahead, read. Go ahead. No. Just take your time, because like I said, it's going to be, yes, me too.
If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it.
Right.
And if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I will also do that.
Right.
What I do about
Hey, take it.
What I do about slavery and the colored race, I do because I believe it helps to save the Union. And what I forbear because I do not believe it would help to save the Union.
Listen, understand this, right?
That's pretty clear.
Yeah, understand this. Listen, he could do all of that and not free the slaves, he would have done it. Everything was done to keep the Union together. It had nothing to do with freeing slaves. Now think about this, right? This emancipation was only for the slaves in the South. You say, well, what do you mean?
Right.
What do you mean? Right?
Right.
When I say only the slaves in the South, you say, but there were no slaves in the North. But there were. What were they called? What were slaves in the North called?
Servants, employees.
There you go. Butlers and maids. That's what they were. They gave them a tiny outhouse to live in, just like they always do. They gave them maid and butler clothing, not slave rags, you understand? There were slaves in the North and the South, but that emancipation only freed the slaves in the South. They had to free the slaves in the South because of the economy of the South. The economy of the South was overcoming the North, and the South wanted to break off because they wanted to keep. Go ahead, sir.
That's why wealth is so important. They cut you off for specific reasons so you don't get power.
Hey, listen, we're going to get into that.
All right,
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. But the whole thing is that power that the South was gaining was overpowering the North. Remember, all of the laws and everything were coming from the North. But because the South was gaining so much wealth, they began to want their own power. So they began to want to become their own country. That's why we said it would have been a North America and a South America literally on this continent. That's what Abraham Lincoln was avoiding, because had that South become their own country, they would have overwhelmed and taken over the North. That was the whole point of it. Again, now, let me jump to this book right here, Dirty Little Secrets by Claude Anderson. It's a great book to get. You got to get this book. It's got a lot of information in it, right? Now read this. I'm reading this right here, right? It says, From the 15th to the 19th centuries, a black Holocaust was carried out. 2/3 of the 35 million slaves shipped out of Africa died en route to the Americas. Neither an apology nor reparations have been offered to the victimized black race. Understand this, right? Every nation that gets destroyed, every nation that's beaten down in a war always gets reparations. Even when World War II, when they started, when the Chinese bombed Pearl Harbor, and they went and put all of those Asians in concentration camps, they got reparations. In World War I, in 1945, when they saved the Jews from the Holocaust, they get reparations. Every nation that is destroyed always gets reparations. We are the only people that have not received reparations because we are still considered slaves. Like we said before, emancipation has done nothing for us. Emancipation is only to get you to believe that you're free. It's the illusion that you're free, but we are not free. Now, we get to this other part right here. In the 1860s, the 14th Amendment to the Constitution was enacted to give blacks due process rights. And because of this 14th Amendment, before I get there, yet for nearly a century afterwards, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against every due process right case involving blacks. What is due process? Let's look at that. Let's see what due process is. Understand this, right? Now listen. It said the 14th Amendment got us due process. Due process is fair treatment through the normal judicial system, especially as a citizen entitlement. So if you are a citizen, you are entitled to due process. We never get due process and fair judicial treatment when we get into the court system. Understand something. How can you ask for due process or fair treatment by a nation of people who hate you, who are set out to destroy us? We never get due process. We are always presumed guilty until proven innocent, when the law is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. You understand? This is powerful, and the words that our oppressor use really hinders us because we believe what we hear as opposed to what our oppressor is saying. All right? I want to skip over that. And I want to get us to understand something. We always talk about this when we go out to the street, Cap, and we always talk about how we don't own businesses, we don't own schools, we don't own any kind of industry to build a nation on. Why is that? There's a particular reason for that. And this book right here on page 43 has it. You can see where I got it highlighted. You can see where I got it highlighted, right? They see that? Understand this. Listen to this. Before the Maryland colony came into existence in 1634, newly arrived European whites and African blacks intermingled and socialized reasonably well. In 1638, however, the Maryland colony issued a public edict encouraging a separation of the races. It became the basis of a public policy for race relations in America. The Council for the Maryland Colony Edict stated, neither the existing black population, their descendants, nor any other blacks shall be permitted to enjoy the fruits of white society. The public edict later became more commonly known as the Doctrine of Exclusion. That's the Maryland Doctrine of Exclusion of 1638. Sometimes you might ask, What is the fruits of white society? The fruits of white society would be owning an industry that you can build a community off of, owning your own schools, owning a community that only your people live in. You understand what I'm saying? Our people should be in our own communities on land that we own. Every piece of land that we live on is owned by somebody from another nation. All of the other nations come into our communities and make a profit off of us. We are the only people who don't profit off of our own people. Every nation comes in and profits off of us. The doctrine of exclusion was a law started in 1638. Sole purpose was to be sure that we are in the condition that we are in today. Because we don't read laws, because we don't look at the things that our oppressor is doing, because we get distracted by housewives and different things like that, and all of these other different things that go on around us, as opposed to knowing what our oppressor is doing, looking at the laws that they are passing while we looking at things or having all of these challenges and things like that. These are the things that happen to us. And a lot of us, and I challenge anybody out there to show me where this law was enacted or deactivated or canceled out.
Right.
I mean, look at the condition we're in right now, the doctrine of exclusion. No black descendant of a black or descendant of a slave shall enjoy the fruits of white society. What are the fruits of white society again? Living in your own community where you own the community that you live in, having your own schools, being able to teach your own children. Listen, think about it, right? We don't even teach our own children. We allow the oppressor to teach our own children. Think about it, right? Critical race theory. What is critical race theory? Critical race theory is real American history. It tells us what America or what our oppressor has done to get America. What America has done to have us in the condition that we are in. That's what critical race theory is. Critical race theory is real American history, but they don't want to teach us that. You got something, Cap? They don't want to teach us that. They would rather let us keep believing that the Pilgrims came over here on the Mayflower and they got along with the Indians and they had a good dinner the day after they got through the first winter and everything was A-okay.
Just to add on something real quick, and that's just further proof that the Native Indians and the so-called Hispanics are God's chosen people.
Right.
Nobody else has experienced that.
Nope.
They have to change their history and teach it in their curriculum.
Right. Exactly.
If anyone hasn't experienced that, they make sure you learn about the Holocaust.
Right.
All other nations, their history, they haven't done that.
Right.
But only Native Indian, Hispanic, and the so-called Negro, we got to deal with something.
Exactly. And that's something that we always talk about when we go out on the streets. It's funny that out of all of the nations that are on this earth, the only peoples whose history has been changed is the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and natives. That's got to be a red flag right there. That's gotta get you to like start thinking like, why is it only us? Because we are the true biblical Jews of the Bible. We are who this Bible talks about. You understand? If you read Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, you will start to see those, what do they call them? Those markers, you know, specific markers that define us or identifies us, those identifying markers. You understand? If you start looking at those, at Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, you'll begin to see those identifying markers. Even if you start reading through the chapters of the Bible and reading the stories of the Bible, you'll begin to identify yourself with those stories in the Bible. Why is that? Because that Bible is about us. That Bible is about yesterday, today, and what's going to happen in the future. You understand? We are the only people on the planet that has a book like that. We got to start coming into our own understanding. You understand? That was it right there, right? That was it, right? That's all I had with that right there. But that Maryland doctrine of exclusion, like I said, that's written right here in Claude Anderson's book, Dirty Little Secrets. You understand?
Right.
And it's a lot of books out here, apartheid book. This medical apartheid, this book will tell you how America experimented on us. You understand? The things that they did to us, the Tuskegee experiments, all of that is in this book. Everything that Johns Hopkins did to destroy the people in Baltimore is in this book. Not only in Baltimore, but all around this country. You understand? There are a lot of books out here that tells our story. You understand? But we get too distracted on certain things. You understand? We got to start understanding that we got to come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. Now, getting back to this emancipation, it says freeing someone from the control of another, especially a parent's relinquishing authority and control over a minor child. Type of freeing, liberation, release, the act of liberating someone or something. Listen, that it's a phrase. This phrase, type of, is very important. The definition, and it's crazy that it's a definition for the phrase type of. Type of, meaning, rather, to some extent, often expressing vagueness. And that's one thing that our oppressor always does. Our oppressor expresses everything vaguely so that he can carry the line wherever he wants to carry the line, or used as a meaningless filler. We got to listen to what our oppressor is saying, right? Let's, that first scripture I want to get, Cap, Deuteronomy 28:68. Emancipation is a heavy thing, man. It's a heavy word. When you begin to understand what emancipation really means, you'll look at this world differently. You understand? And if you want to really experience the truth, you need to come into these classes. And I mean, either get online or come into the school, period. You understand? We right here, 3430 Eastern Avenue. You understand? That's in Baltimore. You understand? And our classes are Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You understand? 7 to 9 p.m. You understand? We got that brotherhood class and that law class. Get into class, man, and get some understanding. Get some true understanding about your history. We're the only people on this face of this earth that can't tell or don't understand what happened to us before slavery in the Americas. We're the only one that don't know anything else but what our oppressor tells us. You got that, Cap?
No.
Let's go.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt.
Say that again.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt.
What does that mean? The Lord shall bring us into Egypt. What does Egypt mean? Egypt means bondage. You understand? The Lord will bring us again into bondage. Read on.
Again.
Again? Wait a minute. Hold up. That means we were already enslaved. Listen, the children of Israel were enslaved in Egypt, literally. But he says he's going to bring us into bondage again. Read on.
With ships.
With what?
With ships.
It says with ships. What other nation of people went into bondage by way of cargo slave ship? No other nation. Listen, you can ask the so-called, Salakia, sir. The northern tribe got over here by the way of water also. You understand? They got over here on boats. You understand? And actually, the northern tribe, they are in bondage right now. How many people have been on a reservation? What is a reservation? Reservation is a concentration camp. How many people from the tribe of Judah are in prison right now. We got a lot of brothers. Actually, we all are in prison because we all enslaved. You understand? They got our brothers, the Issacharites, they got them in cages on the border right now. We all suffering the same calamity. You understand? It's definitely. Right, exactly. Go ahead.
We all in the same boat. It just ain't being categorized in the way it should be.
Right,
Or viewed in the way it should be.
right,
That's like what you mentioned earlier about the school system changing our history. If you line it up, the same thing happened with the North American Indian, so-called Hispanics, and now the Negroes are seeing it.
right.
Firsthand, and it's like nobody's, firsthand.
Listen, you know, the thing is with that, Cap, and I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We are actually living in history right now. And and every day is history, but what I mean is this is going to be one of those defining markers in history where 100 years from now, our people are going to look at the what's name and say, how did they not know that this was happening when it was happening? Because a lot of us still have the blinders of America on. A lot of us believe that we are Americans. Think about this, right? We're talking about from emancipation to civil rights. We've been fighting for, listen, the first civil rights movement was actually in 1866. The first civil rights movement was actually in 1866. That's why they wrote the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was because of the civil rights movement of 1866 and the 13th Amendment. Because of the 13th Amendment is the reason why they wrote the 14th Amendment. The reason why that 13th Amendment, Slovakia, the 14th Amendment was written because of the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment is that amendment that says that we are free unless we commit a crime, and then we are duly processed and put back in, and we can be put back into slavery. And it doesn't say back into prison, but it says back into slavery. So every time those brothers go to prison, they are put back into slavery. Think about this. Now, this is something that a lot of people won't recognize unless you are a little bit older. And what I mean is, if you were born in the 80s, or if you remember, or if you can recollect the times of the 80s, you know those wildfires that break out in California and Arizona every year? Well, every year when we used to watch the news, we used to see the count of the firefighters that used to perish in those fires. So it wasn't till about the late 90s into the early 2000s that those counts stopped. Why did those counts stop? I know you know.
They stopped because people were still dying.
Yeah, exactly.
So they wasn't considered a people.
There you go. See, those counts stopped because those prisoners became state property. Those prisoners were emancipated. They were taken out of regular society and they became state property. And because they were state property, they were forced to go out and fight those fires. And in fighting those fires, we're saving the lives of firefighters and letting the lives of people who mean nothing to our oppressor perish. That's the reason why you don't hear anything about firefighters perishing in these fires, because firefighters aren't perishing in these fires. But that does not mean that there aren't people who are not perishing. The people in those prisons who are forced to go out, and then the thing is they promise them time served or time off of their time if they go out and fight those fires. But did you see those fires? What was the fires that were melting the stones? What was that, last year or 2 years in, what was that community called up in California? Where, one of those prestigious ones where when they came through, the only thing that was standing was the chimneys, and a lot of those stones were disintegrated because the heat had gotten so intense. If the heat got that intense, but they brought it under control, Who brought those under control without any firefighters perishing? Especially the people who got caught in those fires, they perished. Just like those fires that happened in Hawaii. You understand? Who fought those fires where all of those people perished? They get prisoners to fight those fires because of being emancipated. We have to look at emancipation differently. We have to look at emancipation as though we are still enslaved. So we have to conduct ourselves in a different manner. We have to understand that if they get a chance, they will destroy us by any means necessary. You understand what I'm saying? You got more on that, Cap? Or was that the end of that? Go ahead.
Again, with ships.
With ships, go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
We shall see our land no more again. You understand? The thing is seeing our land no more again, we don't even remember where we come from. We have no understanding because we've been so destroyed in America, we don't even realize the land that we come from. We believe we are from America. And a lot of us say that thing, what's that thing? I was born here in America, so I'm American. But nobody says that. Think about this, right? No, understand this too, Cap. Listen to this. When we see a Chinese person, even if they were born here, what do we call them? We call them Chinese because we know where they belong. But we truly think we belong here. We do not belong here. Africans, even an African, even if they were born here, they know exactly. And this is the thing. Even the Nigerian born here knows his history. He knows his lineage. He knows what tribe he's from. He knows where his family derives from. That's why we know we are not those people. You understand? The Bible is our moral compass. The Bible is our constitution. The Bible is our history book. Everything that we need to know is in that book. All we have to do is come back to it. You understand? Go ahead, Cat.
Thou shalt see it no more again, and then ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
Say that again.
Ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
That right there should let us know who our enemy. Who were we sold to? We were sold to our enemies. We were sold to the oppressor. And the thing about it is, coming into today, we were sold to the heathen nations too. Meaning, the heathens come into our neighborhood and they rape, rob, and pillage us. And we let it go. We were sold to our enemies. The oppressor is our enemy. That's who we were sold to. That's who we work for every day. Think about it. We pay our oppressor rent. When it's time for us to buy our food, we go to our oppressor. When it's time to get clothing, we go to our oppressor. When it's time for work, we have to go to our oppressor. What is that the definition of? What's that the definition of? That's a definition of a slave. A slave has to go to his slave master for every want. Am I right? For everything he wants, we got to go to our oppressor. Let's get that. One of all things. Come on, sir.
Unto your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen.
And sold. Go ahead.
And no man shall buy you.
Listen, sold to our enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. We went into slavery as bondmen and bondwomen. And nobody had the strength to save us. No one had the power. None of our people had the power to save us. No one came to save us. Listen, if we were so-called Africans, what African nation came to save us? People keep saying we from Africa, we from Africa. No Africa. Think about this. I'm going to go a little heavy on you, right? It was about 6 or 7 African nations that started apologizing for slavery. I believe Kenya was one of them and Nigeria was another one, right?
Captain was burning out at the camp a couple weeks ago.
Did he?
He pulled that article out and he was talking
Right.
Cat.
Okay.
But no, you're right. You're absolutely right.
We did, you know, we did a class last year on that, right? Yeah, we did a class on that last year. A couple of African nations came forward to apologize for slavery. Now, I'm going to ask this question. If I came to your house and I kidnapped your child and I kept your child for a whole year, and then all of a sudden I bring your child back, who am I apologizing to? Somebody tell me, who am I apologizing to? I'm going to apologize to the person whose child I took. So let's think about this. If we are African, why are the African nations not apologizing to each other? Why are they apologizing to us? They're apologizing to us because they know we are not from those African nations. They know that we are not from those African nations. That's the reason why Kenya is not apologizing to Nigeria. This is the reason why South Africa is not apologizing to, the Congo. You understand? And all of these nations that people keep saying that we're from. Ethiopia and all of this. This is the reason why no African nation is apologizing to another African nation. They're apologizing to us because they know we were never African. Boom. Epiphany. So the next time somebody tell you you're African, you tell them, if I'm African, tell me what nation I'm from. And this is the reason why. Sidebar, Cap, real quick, sidebar, right? We don't believe in reparations, right? We not fighting for reparations. We not looking for reparations, right? Cap? That's not what we about. I just want to, that's not justice, right? But understand something, because I'm going somewhere with it, right? I'm going to give you the viewpoint from America. If you keep asking for reparations and continually say that you're African, as our oppressor, this is what the oppressor would do. The oppressor would say, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, let's just say, what was that number that I gave a few months ago? $864 billion, right? America would say, okay, we're going to give Africa $100 billion. Now, everybody that gets reparation has to go to Africa, and you have to take a DNA test. If you don't pass that DNA test, then you don't get any reparations. Africans tell you you have to be at least 51% African. Every time you go over there, they're going to be like, damn, you're only 49%. No reparation.
I guarantee it's going to be just like they did to our brothers, the North American Indians.
Right.
That term $5 Indian
Yep.
came from white folk trying to claim being Native Indian
Right.
to get a dollar.
Right.
$5.
And but if you keep claiming that you're African American, if you keep claiming that you're African, what our oppressor would do, he would shortchange Africa, give them that money and tell them everybody has to come over there and take a DNA test. Then on top of it,
what I'm saying is this also, everybody else would capitalize.
everybody.
Just like this Otaki. Everybody else capitalizes off of our calamity.
And this is another way that Africa can capitalize off of our calamity. When you keep claiming you're African, you have to claim something other than African.
And I don't want to get too far ahead because I We still on emancipation.
Right, we still on emancipation.
But like when we get further next week into the civil rights era,
Right,
the civil rights, we didn't benefit from the civil rights era. We get that illusion.
Right. Yep.
I just want to conversate for a second.
Right.
The analogy of if it was reparations,
right,
the same thing would happen that happened during the civil rights era.
right.
Everybody else capitalizes, and our demise and descent will go down.
And that's a topic, that's the topic right there when I get to the civil rights right there. That's a part of that too right there. You understand? You keep claiming that you're African, and then they're going to get the Africans to duke you. So now what's going to happen is, and this is just a viewpoint, when you've seen the connivingness of the oppressor, you begin to start understanding what the oppressor is capable of doing. You understand? And the oppressor would give them a tenth of what they really owe you and have you go over there. Now you got to pay $1,500 to catch a plane over there to find out that you're not African, and now the Africans got your reparations, if that's what you're going for. You understand? Stop saying that we're African. We are the true biblical Jews of the Bible. You understand? We are Israel. You understand? So, where we at? Back where we at. Back to the one of all things. There you go. A slave. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
Therefore shall we serve thy enemies that the Lord shall send against thee. Listen, the Most High has sent our enemies against us. Who is our enemy? Our enemies is the oppressor. Go ahead.
Come. In hunger.
In what?
In hunger.
Listen, what did we talk about earlier? We got to go to our oppressor when we're hungry. We don't go to our own stores. We don't go to our own supermarkets. We don't go to our own restaurants. We lost all of those things. That's a story down the line, though. But we got to go to our oppressor in hunger. Go ahead.
And in thirst.
And in what?
And in thirst.
In thirst. You understand? Go ahead.
And in nakedness.
And in nakedness, we have to get our apparel from our oppressor. We don't have any more clothing shops. We don't have any more places where we weave our own material. We don't make our own socks, our own pants. We don't make our own hats, scarves, or anything like that. We have to go to the oppressor for all of these things. Why is that? Because we gave up all of these things. When we turn away from the Most High, you lose out. We lose out. You understand? I was trying not to go. I'm trying not to go there because that's down the line. That's down the line. That's next week. That's next week, right? But we gave up everything. When we turn away from the Most High, we lose out. The Most High tells us, if you will not hearken unto my voice, if you will not follow these commandments on this day, you understand, we will be plagued. And look at us. We're plagued in hunger. We're plagued in thirst. We're plagued in nakedness. Go ahead.
Come. And in want of all things.
And in want of all things, man. We want jobs. We want cars. We want to be able to take care of our families at ease, in ease. You understand? A lot of us, we got to work 2 and 3 jobs. Why is that? Why do we have to work so hard to get the things that our oppressor works at with ease? We are at want in all things because we are being plagued. We cursed. We cursed. We cursed because of our own doing. Because we won't hearken to the voice of the Lord of the Most High. Or we won't. Yeah, how about that, man? We want to be Muslim. We want to be Christian. We want to be Buddhist. We want to be atheists. We want to be everything but what the Most High told us to be. The Most High told us to be obedient. Follow my laws, statutes, and commandments. I'd rather be obedient than be a Muslim. It's too hard to be a Muslim. It's too hard to wear a dress. You understand? It's too hard to do all of that. You understand? In the summertime, wearing a suit. You understand? Out there selling newspapers and bean pies and stuff, man, in the summertime. What the dude said on it, give me a short set, a Muslim short set or something, you know? And look at that, it's 100 degrees out there today. You understand? Listen, man, I don't know, man, but I couldn't do it, man. Listen, soldier up and get into this ISUPK under commanding General Yohana. You understand? This is where real warriors dwell. Get up in here, sisters. Get up in here and be who the Most High intended you to be. You understand? Get up in here and be a part of something that's real, you know? Let's go, right? Check this out. We're going to get into these black codes now, right? Let's get into the black codes. What are black codes? The black codes were cited as justification for the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and the 14th Amendment. Man. Black codes were a series of laws passed in the southern United States after the Civil War to limit the freedom of African Americans. The laws were intended to maintain the availability of black people as a cheap labor force and to restore much of the slave system that had existed before the war. See, that's what we're talking about right there. That 13th Amendment was to keep you enslaved, to make you think that you're free, and then we're going to create conditions so that you commit a crime so that we can enslave you for free again. Think about it, right? What's a black code? A black code was if they seen 3 or more black people standing together. You understand? That was illegal. So guess what they could do? They could come and arrest you. Upon arrest, listen, upon arrest, if you didn't have your free papers on you, if you didn't have ID on you, they could arrest you for that. Listen, if you didn't have $1 in your pocket, they could arrest you for that, put you back into slavery, and have you slaving all over again. Emancipation resolved. You understand? I'm going to read it again. Black codes were a series of laws passed in the southern United States after the Civil War to limit the freedom of African Americans. The laws were intended to maintain the availability of black people as a cheap labor force and to restore much of the slave system that had existed before the war. Black codes varied slightly from place to place, but generally included restrictions on voting rights, the illusion of inclusion, to vote. Just like we said earlier in the day, we said they allow you to vote to make you believe you're included, but they choose who you can vote for. Is that a choice? Or is that not a choice? Or are you just picking from their choice? Who would you pick? That's what basically they saying. Who would you pick? That's not a choice. That's just them giving you someone to pick from. Joe Biden or Donald Trump. Who are you going to pick from? Both of them are evil. Why not just not vote at all? Don't include, think about this, right? Joe Biden passed an Asian hate law in May of 2021. In 2 weeks after a couple of Asians got hurt, they passed the Asian hate law. Civil rights started in 1866. It picked back up in 1955. Still going on in 2024. Still ain't got a Negro hate law. How many Negroes have been destroyed since 1866? How many Hispanics have been destroyed since 1866? How many Native American Indians have been destroyed since 1866? Let's do the numbers. Let's do the math. Over 100 million in the transatlantic slave trade. And we still being murdered today. Salakia, we still being unalived today. 77 million Native American Indians unalived, and they're still being unalived today. Think about it. They're running pipelines through the Native American land that they said that they wouldn't. Over 177 peace treaties that they made with the Native Americans, and they still breaking those peace treaties to this day. 55 million unalived Hispanics on the border, still being unalived today, still being unalived in the Rio Grande River, trying to get a piece of something that they think is freedom. You understand what I'm saying? Do those numbers against any other unalivable situation. At the same time, think about all of those black cities and towns that they destroyed from 1870 all the way through to the day. Listen, our towns are still being destroyed to this day. Think about, in 1985, they dropped that bomb in Philadelphia over that community in Philadelphia. Nobody paid for that. After all of those people were unalived in 1985. That was just right around the corner. Nobody was, held accountable for that. Surely the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Only a devil could do something like that. You understand? Only a devil. What does devil mean? Devil just means deceiver. Who deceives everybody across the face of the earth? Right now, people are being deceived in so-called NATO. People are being deceived in this so-called presidential race. Will you be deceived? You understand? Let's see. Voting rights, depriving African American men of their voting rights. This was a black code. We get deprived of voting rights since they supposedly gave voting rights to so-called African Americans. You understand? First thing is, us being disobedient to the Most High has us in the condition that we in today, being disobedient. All we had to do was follow and do what the Most High told. Listen, we should be running this earth right now. America, these governments should be under our authority right now. I mean, look at us, the greatest people. And think about it, as we always say this. We always say, we're the best athletes, we're the best minds, we're the best mathematicians, we're the best thinkers on this earth. We're the most compassionate. We have empathy for all the other nations. Why are we on the bottom? Disobedience. That's the first thing. Being disobedient has us in the condition that we're in today, right? Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15. Don't worry, Cal, I got you. Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15. Right? Being disobedient has us in the condition that we in right here today. Being disobedient. If we had just listened to the Most High, like I said, we'd be on top as opposed than on the bottom. Every nation comes from another nation, comes over here and takes a step right over top of us. Listen, I didn't even know it was that many Palestinians in America until this war over in Israel broke out. You don't see them out in the voting booths and in the voting line. You don't see them lined up. The Asians, you don't see them lined up. The Arabs, you don't see them lined up. Because they know there's no power in voting. The power is in community. Our power is in us coming together. Read that Acts chapter 4, verses 31 to 34. That's where our power, that's how our power is supposed to operate right there. You understand? You got that, Cap?
Come. Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee.
In any wise, we should not set any king over us, especially a king from another nation, a heathen. We should never put a heathen over top of us. When you go out and you choose a heathen and put a heathen over top of you, that's just disobedience. And just like we said before, that's the reason why we're in the condition that we're in right now, because of being disobedient. You understand? Putting a king over top of us who is not even of us. How do we do that? We are the only nation of people that do that. If you go to India, India has a president who is Indian, East Indian. You go to Africa, Africa has an African president. You understand? Just like in Ethiopia, Ethiopia has an Ethiopian president. We are the Chinese president, Xi. Russia, Putin. You understand what I'm saying? They only put people over them that are of them. We are the only nation of people that will put an oppressor over top of us or put an East Indian as vice president. We got fooled into putting not only.
It should be code switching.
Whoo,
Code switching. She'll turn that so-called black.
that black. And listen, you know how she fooled our sisters? The little business suit with the sneakers on, the Converses. Listen, that resonated through all the sisters. Girl, I'm voting for her. She got my vote. You understand what I'm saying? And that's how we get destroyed, just like with Barack Obama.
Same thing with Clinton. The
Saxophone.
what
It-
the fuck is his name? Goddamn
Bill Clinton?
Bill.
Yeah, Bill Clinton.
Okay, I couldn't get it.
William Clinton. But anytime somebody does something that resonates to us, that reminds us of us, we tend to side with them. You understand? We tend to side with them. You understand? And that's to a detriment to us. You understand? Because somebody does something like we do it, then we feel like they are of us when they are not. You understand? This is the reason why, this is the reason why that Democratic Party is in an uproar now, because they pissed off because they picked a vice president who can't even pick up the presidency for that president that they put out there. Ebenezer, what's his name? Ebenezer? Ichabod Crane. That's what he remind me of. He remind me of Ichabod. He looked like an Ichabod. You understand? What the one they call, you ever see the Christmas Carol with the ghosts. Remember the old one with the chains around him? What his name was? Bob Cratchit. Something like that, right? But that's who he remind me of. But the whole point is we tend to put people over us that don't belong over us. We are the only people that do that. You understand? Go ahead.
And it's sad because our religious leaders make us believe in that system.
Yep.
And the church has become its own political party.
Right.
Especially the black church.
Yep.
The black church is Democratic, 100%. Pushing that Democratic Party, just like what's the politician name now? Robert
Sharpton.
Al Sharpton. What's the other one that ran for president? Al Sharpton. And
Jesse Jackson.
Jesse Jackson.
But this is what's crazy now. This is where the cross up comes, because that Southern Baptist convention, those are Republicans. So you got Democrats pushing their votes to Republican. They sending all of that money that they getting is going back to the Southern Baptist Convention Center. That's to oppressor Republicans, white Republicans. That's what's crazy about that. Ain't nothing democratic about them. You understand? And they got a whole umbrella. All of those churches are under that one umbrella. You understand? Go ahead.
John, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose.
Whom the Lord thy God, we should not put anyone over us that the Most High did not choose. You understand? And I know the Most High didn't choose Trump. I know the Most High didn't choose Biden. I know for God, Salakia, I'm sorry. I know that he did not choose, what's her name? Harris. Kamala Harris. You understand? The Most High is not going to put oppressors or heathens over top of us. So we should not choose to put oppressors and heathens over top of us. You understand? Go ahead.
John, one from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee.
Well, it should be one from among thy brethren. It should be one of us from the 12 tribes of Israel that should be put over us. And on top of that, it should be one that the Most High has chosen. Did I go too far ahead? Did I skip too far?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee,
Which is,
not thy brother.
we should not set a stranger over us, which is not our brother. This voting really destroys us as a people. We should let them fight over who they want to be president. We should come together and take care of our own people. That's how, you know, our society under this captivity should operate. We should operate under this captivity just like all these other nations. We should not be fighting to get to the voting booths. Think about it, right? If you're a voter and what you voted for and the premises that you stand on have not been fulfilled up to this far, that means voting has not done anything. Somebody tell me, what has voting done for us? Has anybody asked any questions on that, Cap? We got any questions relating to the topic? Okay, cool. It shouldn't be nothing on here either, right? Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I don't think so. All right, but we should not be putting anybody over us. And then, like I said, in a minute, one more, I'm gonna pull this one more scripture, right? And this basically goes by what you was talking about earlier too, right? And like I said, going back to this voting thing, we should not put people over us that is not of our, you understand, of our tribe, of the 12 tribes. If you can, Cap, can you grab that Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter? And we're gonna hit that 17th verse. Yep. Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 17. And we're going to wrap it right there.
Ezekiel chapter 3,
Verse 17.
verse 17.
Yeah, verse 17.
3 verse 17. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel.
Hey, listen, he's talking about the Son of Man. He's talking about the brothers of Israel. You understand? I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. We're supposed to watch over our people. You understand? We're supposed to make sound decisions. You understand? We are supposed to alert. We supposed to keep watch. We are supposed to, you understand, be the protectors over the house of Israel. Go ahead.
Therefore, hear the word at my mouth, and give them warning from me.
And we supposed to give warning for the Most High. You understand? We supposed to warn our people when something is awry, when something is not right. Our watchmen are not watching over us like they supposed to. And I'm speaking of, you understand, all of these so-called black leaders that we supposed to have. You understand? Right here in the ISUPK, we're watching over our people and we're warning our people. You understand? We are that sounding bell. You understand? We are not that dog that cannot bark. You understand? We're warning our people. You understand? We're giving warning. We're letting our people know we cannot put oppressors or heathens over us that the Most High did not choose. You understand? But the people who are those black faces in high places are putting those people over us, and they're telling us to vote for those people when the Most High told us we should not put people over us that are not of our nation. You understand? And with that, we're the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. We've been bringing this truth since 1969. And what is that truth? That truth is that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and natives are the greatest people to ever walk the face of this earth, and the Bible identifies us as the true biblical Jews of the Bible. And with that, we pass the class over to Captain Saparia.
Shalom, Israel. Another excellent class. Clap it up one more time. Another excellent class from the officer. What we gotta recognize and understand is this, right? Don't get like we didn't become comfortable. Right? The scriptures describe Judah, and this goes for the other nations as well, right? We in the neck of thine enemy. We didn't got comfortable so much so that we believe in today's politics. We believe in today's rhetoric. You understand? We all here going with the so-called flow. You did. We gotta separate from this age in society. Not we got this idea and this theory. It's because of the Christian church. Just to add on, just a tad bit. I don't mean to my bad. You know what I mean? It's a lot, yeah. But we can't. This theory that the Christian church has given us this illusion of inclusion, has given us this illusion of togetherness, and we are on the bottom. You are nothing but cannon fodder for the Democratic Party, black man. Right. Cannon fodder for the Republican Party. You think they pretend like you matter, but you don't. On both sides of the table. You're just a pawn in their game and their theatrics. All right, man. Okay, all right. Security announcements. We are the ISUPK out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Under Commander General Yohana, new rules for brother and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves with the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry, ties, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18 and 21 and Malachi 3, 8 through 10. Means 10th in the Hebrew and it's pronounced Ma'ashra. 10% of every penny of any increase the Most High gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher priest fund. Free will offering for priests not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you will like. Upcoming holy convocations. The next one is going to be in October. Memorial of the blowing of the trumpets in October, all right? October the 2nd. All right, so be there, be in the building. Remind Akim and Aquathian to check on social media such as IGPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for IGPK events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he's to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. All right, with that, that's gonna conclude the class. Individual Majum, we will give one courteous salute to the teacher. Individual Mayim Shabbat, Mayim, Barak, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbat, Class dismissed.